because of government reform some 20 years back. So yeah, there's some sort of message which has come up. You're considering in live stream or even, yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, sorry, there was some message which popped up. So and something similar is happening in India as well, where a lot of the colleges are given the university status. Of course, Sidnam is up there in the top league, so they don't have to worry about this. But there are many colleges who have recently become universities, and they have to deal with this. So so it further goes on. We are serious about preparing you for what comes after university. Internships, placements, and work experience help you make connections and put theory into practice while you study. And finally, we have 4,000 global industry partnerships every year and something like 12,000 WIL placements annually. WIL stands for Work Integrated Learning. So as you're taking a course, you're integrated with the industry. You work in the industry for a short time and then return back to study. So we have something like 12,000 of the students doing these internships in between their program. So the notable feature of this mission statement is, if you sort of count it, it's industry-led courses. So that is, the courses that we have are informed by the industry. The second aspect you see in this particular statement is that of work integrated learning. So when students join in, they finish 2 years of a BCom degree. In the third year, they find industry placements, they go into the industry, and then they come back and return in the evening courses, because many of them actually get absorbed in the industry that they've gone in for internship. So that is a degree program. So the industry experience part is integrated within the degree. So the university is very much integrated that way. Not surprisingly, now we are ranked number 4 in terms of industry partnerships across Australia. And this flows on into our placement statistics. For example, we're also number 4 in Australia for graduate employment. And something like 70% of our graduates, all our graduates, get placed within 4 months of graduation. And if you look at the business college itself, where I teach, something like 100%, almost every other student who graduates gets placed within 4 months. And this is the statistics that I'm not pulling out of my pocket. This is collected by the government independently. After students graduate, they do a survey, because they'll lend the students money. We have student loans, and so they track students after graduation and see how they're doing. So this is the statistics that is published for everyone to see. And the reason I say this or brag about this is because RMIT is a very small university. As I said, it was a former college of technology, which was converted into university. And we are competing with the big ones. We are competing with Monash University and Melbourne University. I mean, these universities are the traditional sandstone universities like the Mumbai University, and they have a long years of standing. And not only that, they're ranked consistently by all the rating agencies in the top 20 universities in the world. Okay, not just in Australia, but in the world. So they are at par with Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, Oxford, Cambridge, all those big names that you hear about. Okay, so to have a head-on competition with them is not going to make sense. So we sort of differentiate ourselves by saying, yes, we are a university, but we are a university with industry application. And that is where our niche is. So for a university such as RMIT, it is part of our DNA to be industry focused and encourage integration with industry in everything we do. Okay, so the main aspect running this is the culture of the organization. So with RMIT, I don't have to struggle. I don't know much about Sydenham, but the way I look at it, it's more sort of the traditional university. It's affiliated with Bombay University, whereas Bajaj might be a more industry-focused university. I could be wrong, but I'm just assuming that way. So just to give you a sort of a parallel between the different universities.
We are also, sir, industry-focused.
Okay, all right. So that's good. So in that way, but doing this partnership is not always easy, as the person introducing me said, and the main reason for this is the conflict in values between industry and universities. So if you think about a corporation, what is the primary motive? making money, isn't it? Regardless of what they say, profit is the main motive. So with the primary purpose of corporation is to deliver what we call as shareholder value, because they must provide returns to the investors. Now, if you think about academic culture, on the other hand, it encourages openness. Researchers are motivated to share and publish new findings. I mean, this is what we do in conferences. We share ideas openly without any reservation. So in contrast, corporate culture is more guarded. They need to monetize their innovations. They have to make money out of whatever ideas they have. So, and you will witness this. And if you go to an academic conference, which you're currently in, you'll see that there's a bit of collegiality. People are willing to share ideas. They're willing to discuss it and present it out there. But if you go to any industry conference, there's a complete change of scenario. You'll see people huddled around a table discussing things. If you try to join them, they'll be very guarded. The conversation stops. They're very careful in terms of what they're sharing with you, because they see as you as a competitor, and it's not very collegial. I've been to a few. Okay, things might be different, but there's essentially a conflict in the values of the industry research and the company, and that you have to recognize and adapt to. The second aspect is I'll just put down some points here. Okay, the second aspect is, we are a business college. Yeah, so social sciences, or we are in the social sciences arena, and they do not have a strong history of technology transfer as engineering or the life sciences and computing likely, because one of the social science methods is to be a dispassionate critic, which is not always possible to interact with the subject being studied. So being in the social sciences, you have a disadvantage, so to say. The third aspect is, sorry. Yeah, the third aspect is that of the role of the government in bringing about this collaboration. Often the government plays a role in these types of collaboration. How do they do this? Now, their involvements had generally been increasing, but again, it varies country by country. For instance, Australia, okay, and this is a very small country. I mean, in terms of population, it is about the same size of population as the population of Mumbai. And in terms of the economy, it is probably smaller, about the same size as the economy of California as a state. So we have to be very clever in the way we utilize our scarce research resources. So we do not have major research organizations. We do have one or two. The major one is unlike the Indian Institute of Sciences and the others, that you have in India, we don't have these major research centers, but we do have a few of notable significance, such as the CSIRO. But a lot of the research is done or is pushed to the universities. So university, the role of an academic is not just teaching, it's research. They have a major research role. So even with my time, although I'm not in pure sciences, there's something like 50% of the allocation of my workload could be for research. And if I'm in sciences, it could be almost like 90% or 80%. And if I have a major grant, then I don't have to teach at all. All I'll be doing is research. Yeah. So research, the substantial funding for research by the government to the universities. So that is quite different. One of the notable programs that we have from the Australian Research Council, the government, is what they call as a linkage grant. Okay. Now, what is a linkage grant? A linkage grant is a grant given by the government to the industry and to the university, but it's not free. So the industry has to put 50% of the expenses, because a lot of the time when you collaborate with industry, they might be looking at freebies. Can you do this research for free, or can you help us out with this problem? So in this case, it is the industry has to put out money, and the government will match it 50 by 50 to get an academic on board to do the research. So the linkage program promotes research partnerships between researchers and business and the industry. It doesn't have to just be with industry. It can be with community organizations and any other publicly funded research agency. So by supporting the development of partnerships, the ARC encourages the transfer of skills, knowledge, and ideas as a basis of securing commercial and other benefits of research. Now, what helps industry collaboration succeed? How do you make successful collaboration? The first thing from my perspective, from an academic perspective, is that you have to take the view that you're in this for the long term. And the second thing is you have to be very generous with your relationship. Because unlike in India, where professors are allowed to do consulting on the side and keep their main job, we are not allowed to do that. Because it is seen as conflict of interest. You're a full-term employee of a university, and you can't double dip. You can't, at the expense of university, you can't go out and make more money. Because they say it's not good for your welfare, you'll get sick, it might be too stressful for you, and they see it as that you might be neglecting your university or your core duties. So if you were to do that, then you had to get permission, declare conflict of interest, and I think you have to give half of the money to the university, something like that. So it's not very lucrative. So a lot of the time, you develop these relationships on your own time, on your own clock. So the most successful collaborations might start small, but if both sides see the potential for a long-term partnership and share and communicate broadly, then the likelihood of success is greater. And Professor Srivastav is in a very good position because he comes from the industry. He already has those connections. But someone like me or someone like you just starting out in academia, I think you'll have to invest the time and energy to develop these long-term relationships that you can build on. So that is the advantage of having industry professors on campus, and many universities in India are doing that. I've seen a few ads where they have industry professors. So you don't need to have a PhD, but you need to have a good standing in the industry to be able to teach. And that's a positive move in the right direction. To encourage industry connectedness within the university sector. Just a minute. Okay. My notes keep on going up and down. Okay. All right. So, and some of the points I need to cover. Yep, I've jotted down them here somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Other more practical questions might be. I'm just going to move this. Okay. How to find my Zoom meeting? Yeah. How to find an industry partner? Now you got to work out what is it that the industry is seeking from this partnership. Now the two most important aspects they look for when starting a new project is with the shared history of successful collaboration. Have you worked with the other industries collaboratively and successfully, or working in the same research area with a similar research agenda? Is your area of research the same as that of the industry partner? This is very obvious. I mean, of course, there are significant collaborations you have seen, such as the collaboration between AstraZeneca and Oxford University with the firm in India, I forget the name, who manufactured the main vaccine. There is a collaboration between AstraZeneca, Oxford University, and the firm in Pune.
Serum Institute.
Yeah, Serum Institute, that's right, Serum Institute. Okay, so I mean that's a very high-profile collaboration, but there are also less visible collaboration between researchers, and we also have something called as the Office of Research. So this Office of Research keeps track of the successful collaborations we have had with industry, and if there's a particular project coming up, they will notify us on a weekly basis as to, hey, look here, here's your research interest. This is the collaboration we have already established with previous researchers. Would you like to work on them? So having a research office which monitors the different grants and the different collaborations that were set up by the university is a useful thing. And the second thing is, how do you find a new partner? If you're completely new to the game, how do you find a new industry partner? And of course, the key to this is data. So you can look at the other collaborations you've done in the past within your department, or I found a very good useful tool, and that's called the SCIVAL, SCI Science, it stands for Science Val, SCIVAL, or also Scopus, but more so SCIVAL. So if you go into SCIVAL and put your research topic in there, look at the collaborations, look at which industries have sponsored that kind of research, then you'll get a very good idea as to what sort of research area you're in, which are the industries who traditionally have sponsored these projects, and what sort of collaborations others have done. So if you not have a direct collaboration, so I might even work, for example, I might work with, if I find out through Srival that Professor Srivastava has worked with the pharmaceutical industry in which he has contacts, then I might collaborate with Professor Srivastava and that way have access to the industry. So there are many different avenues to do that. And the university also has to incentivize this. So industry projects have to also be rated in the same way as they do regular pure research. So there has to be this KPIs because we all have to focus on KPIs or key performance indexes. And one of them could be industry-led projects, which is what we have at my university because it's a more applied university. And that's all I can think of for now. If you have any questions, I'll take questions for the next 10 minutes I think. You can either put them in a chat or you can channel them somehow.
Or I can add myself some points. You know, before the audience think of giving the chat box, you are the main faculty since we have time. Can I butt in, Dr. Muli? Can I share?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. See, one of the areas, where the faculties can think of is applied research, where, we can, in fact, in India, we are doing, let me share my experience. I suppose, some industry not doing well, they have a problem, whether it is a human resource management or whether it's a marketing related problem or production related problem. The faculty's expertise can be useful, to solve their problems, like certain market research activities. Suppose we want to do, that's where I'm talking about applied research. If suppose they want to do demand forecasting for a new product, which is very difficult to forecast by a company, which if the product is very innovative or new. So that can be done through the, involving the academic researcher with some background in the industry. As you rightly said, that because today in India, I just tell you, this is my experience, which may be different from others. But as far as my connection is, the industry people, they don't trust the academician because they feel that you are too academic, you are not practical. That is one myth, which is there in the industry. And that is the reason why the industries are not coming so forcefully as it used to come, as you see in US or in Australia, where people are willing to involve industry, universities to do some research. Because they feel there's a deficit of trust. That's one. This is my experience. I may be wrong in my approach. The second, is that the usefulness of the research. The authenticity of that research is also equally important, because if I give some suggestions, there should be a sense of believability. So people should believe that will give some results, and that's where your past track record comes into the picture. If you recommend certain things, in fact, one of my colleagues is already Mrs. Pandit, Dr. Pandit, whom you know. She's
Yes.
in the board of director for a couple of companies as a women representative. So it's not that the industry is not wanting academics, but there are some limitations. Then of course now in India, in fact, recently AICT, which is the regulating authority in India, they have, or UGC, they have decided to have industry professors, and they are waiving off the PhDs,
Yep.
so that the students can get practical knowledge. In fact, I remember my young starting days, when I left industry in 2004, when I gave first lecture in one of the reputed management institute, top ranked. So the student came to me, sir, these all PPTs are available on Google, and we like our on the books are available. We like to share your experience, how you can apply the theory with the practice. So that's how we are trying to make the student more practical. And that's how we in Signum we are doing the same, that we are trying to make them more practical oriented than just a theory oriented, so that the industry which comes in, they know that they are talking to a practical manager. And of course, in the form of academic research, let me also share my experience. There are certain journals which are published by Elsevier publications. They emphatically they say that if you don't have the managerial implications elaborately done, they don't accept the paper. So, for example, a Journal of Marketing Strategy, where I have published in current year, International Marketing Strategy. So there they say that if there are no practical implications elaborately done, it will be difficult for us to consider your paper. So there are some journals which they are emphasizing on the practical implications, giving the indication to all the faculty members that we have to bring in the industry approach to our research. Because pure science research, may be okay for academic purpose in social science, but applied research, I think we have to try more to get value in the industry. This is my opinion, but I need the audience to ask you, so because you are the main guest.
No. I mean, it's like I said, this is not going to happen automatically. This industry collaboration is not going to happen automatically unless there are incentives in place. There's got to be incentives in place. So, for example, and also the government regulations as well. So there's got to be government intervention of some sort, and also incentives for industry to collaborate and universities to collaborate with industry. As an example, with the major consulting firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers and the others in Australia, if their partners or if the employees want to apply for promotion, or if they want to get accreditation of some sort, they need to show some collaboration with universities. That shows that they've been recognized. Maybe they've been invited as a guest speaker to come to the university. So I get many people calling me, can we come and do a guest speaker in your course? But again, I have to sort of I have to stop them, because a lot of them are doing just to tick a box that yes, I've done that guest speaking, and they're not well prepared. They're not well prepared. So they know little about, or they know a lot about their area of operation, but they don't know much about theory. So a lot of the time, this requires me to sort of train them in the theory and say, look here, this is what you're going to read. This is a spill I want you to give, and I want you to make this connection between what you're doing and what the theory is. So and likewise, the industry people might say, oh, no, you're very theoretical. But the industry people lack theory altogether. So it goes both ways, So we have this image of the industry, and the industry people also have some image of us. So there is that incentive has to be put in place, and also government regulations. In fact, having collaboration with university is a way for organizations to subsidize their research, because as I said, the government will pay 50% of the cost of research. Of any research and development.
I made a note. There's a very good, excellent idea. To encourage the industry. The problem is that in the India, still, we are still in the infancy stage. We are not so, but the present government is trying to encourage joint collaborative research. Hopefully, it should materialize.
Yeah.
But
it's coming out.
In India, still we are lacking, but we have to do a lot of work. I think many of our colleagues who are present, senior professors are there in this today's conference. I think if we can ask them to share their experience, that will be great.
In fact, I think last year when I attended this, you had one of the guest speakers, I forget his name, from the US. He actually said that
Dr. Parag Duman?
No. It's like a Christian sounding name.
So I
Michelle?
think you mean Dr. Justin Paul.
Justin
Justin
Paul?
Paul, yes, Dr. Justin Paul,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. So Dr. Paul, yes, Dr. Justin Paul. I mean, he actually said that that the research culture is catching up in India, and especially from IIM, there's something like 1 lakh rupees you get for publishing one paper in a ABCD or a schematic rank journal. So it is, yes, I think India will be unstoppable, if that culture gets in, because we have so many universities and so many keen researchers. So yeah, so
we also have, sir, but not that amount, but small amount we have also.
Yeah,
we do encourage. In fact, in many management should also, I think this is the research policy. Under the research policy, many management institute, they have added this under the research policy that, if you publish in a good journal, whether it is a Willis or Emerald or, Francis Taylor or in the science or, you get some remuneration based on the type of journals you publish. But, the industry people, the connect is important, I feel, because that's where, the industry will benefit and they'll start respecting the academicians, because they always have that notion. I'm talking about my experience because I've come from industry to academics, and then, I realized that the industry people say, oh, you're an academician, you're not only theoretical. I said, no, I have a practical experience too. And, we do a lot of research. So I have to sell myself to be
I know.
really, let me confess that I have to sell myself that yes, I'm a practical person.
Yeah. I think the industry will come to universities because there is something aching. There is some problem that they have that they cannot solve, or maybe they have some sort of long-term interest in it. So, for example, they're looking at a research or some sort of a research and development project, and they do not have expertise within the organization. That is when they come to universities, because we have research centers. We have a research center, for example, at RMIT in my department for blockchain research. So anyone interested in blockchain can go to this research centers where we have a group of researchers working on that problem across the disciplines, not just from business, but from finance and engineering and so on. And they get this group expertise for a very low price. So that is one incentive. The second incentive, they want to retrain their own staff. So they look at universities as a way for retraining their own staff to develop the skill level within their universities. So that is one reason they might collaborate. And I think the third reason is it is in their long-term interest to not put the energy and money into training people or graduates who come to them. So if they can influence the degree programs within a university and have say in it as to what is required by industry and influence the training program, then they do not have to invest in training the graduates. So one of the things we say is we have work-ready graduates. So someone who comes out of the university, because I know in India, you sort of have the management training thing. So after you graduate, they will take you on board, they will retrain you for 1 year, and you'll be training for a year, and then you start working. But we don't have the luxury. So we said, no, we want students coming in who will start from day one. So we don't want you to cover a lot of theory. This is what we require in the university or in our workforce. And are you developing or working towards those skills? So we have to deliver on that. And so for every program evaluation, we have an industry board. At least like half of the members are industry board, and they sit and deliberate on what is going to be taught in our courses. So there's a big input from industry in the way we run courses.
I think we also have in India, industry people is called academic council, where the industry people come and they discuss these are the courses and demand. Like yesterday, we had Dr. Michelle. She's the dean of Wisconsin University. I think you must be knowing her. She came earlier also in our conference. So she was suggesting that recently there was a conference, ACSB, where they emphasized that we should have a program on change management. Managing change is one of the very important skill set for the future managers. So she said that we should have 6 months program or 11 months program on change management. So I think if audience doesn't have a question, then we will like to thank them. We like to summarize, Dr. Mulay. If audience doesn't have any questions.
Okay, guys, do you have any questions? Otherwise, we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock now. Yeah.
9 o'clock in the evening. Here it is 4:33.
Okay, great.
We have exceeded by
All
3
right.
minutes.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. And if you have any questions, just email me or send it to Professor Srivastava, and he'll direct it to me. Yeah. Have a good evening. It's a Saturday night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
All
for sparing your time.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
and we look forward to see you, sir, in the month of January.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Professor Srivastava, and I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Over to you, ma'am. Over to Sonali.
Yeah, I think we can, sir, now begin with the presentations again. We can create the breakout rooms again, and we'll be starting off with the presentation, sir.
The breakout rooms are open. We request the participants to join the same.
All participants and chairpersons and everyone, please, and the students of SimSil, please join the original breakout rooms that you all were assigned.